About a year ago, I had a mental breakdown, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life. When I went through the mental breakdown, I know I spent a lot of time trying to YouTube and find people who were going through a similar thing that I was going through. So, the reason I'm making this video today is to try and make you feel less alone and make you feel like there's people out there who have been through a mental breakdown and come through and been alright, because I felt very, very lonely when I was going through my mental breakdown, and you kind of feel like you're the one with the big issue and everyone else is normal. It's quite hard to make this video. I've started and turned it off quite a few times. It's quite a sensitive thing to talk about, but I'm going to give it my best crack. So my mental breakdown started because there was just a lot of built up stress doing something I didn't want to do, and just a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress leading to burnout, and eventually just a full-blown mental breakdown, which I never knew your brain or your mind could get so down, where it seems like your perception of the world just becomes very dark, and it's like it's flipped completely upside down. You just see things a lot differently. I always thought I understood mental health and depression, but you never really understand unless you go through it yourself. And man, it was hell. Like, I really feel like I gained a perspective what it was like. So I'll go from the top. It started like lots of anxiety, lots of stress, leading to gradually I would go down. Gradually I went downhill until I had a breakdown. What caused the downhill slope was just doing something I really didn't want to do, which involved a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, which had me on edge for a long time, probably around 3 months of doing something I didn't want to do, being under a lot of stress, constant anxiety, and then you reach a point where you just fully break down and your tolerance to anything just becomes zero. So this is what happened with me. I was, when I did break down, I just detached from reality in a way. Everything seemed dark. The brain fog was fucking awful. Like, you feel like almost you've got bubbles in your brain. You can't think, it just seems very foggy. You just can't think at all. Like, when I had the breakdown, that was one of the hardest things, the brain fog. You feel like there's something wrong with your brain. You can't function normally or think properly or just rationalize even the easiest thing. The sleep was awful. I kept waking up at 3 a.m. with just thoughts of tension. Like, your fight or flight is so easily activated when you're going through a mental breakdown and like severe depression, that you're so close to just always being on edge. And that's what would happen with me. I would wake up at 3 a.m. just so wired, so anxious. And once you get into that bad sleeping pattern, when you are like having a breakdown, every night is just waking up super early in the morning, shaking, wide awake, and thoughts just constantly rolling through your mind. They're not specific thoughts either. Like, I found when I had a breakdown, it was very vague thoughts just floating in and out of your brain constantly. It's very hard to describe unless you've had it. But if you're going through this now, you'll know what I mean, if it's a similar experience to you. So just constant vague thoughts just fluttering through your mind, and just the littlest things will send you in a spin of anxiety. Like doing something out of your comfort zone, you'll just get so anxious. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. So the sleep was awful. You don't want to get out of bed. bed seemed like my safe space. It was the only place where I felt safe, and you just want to stay in bed all day, just in a ball, crawled up in a ball. The idea of even getting out of bed and like going to get something to eat is just, everything becomes very hard and you don't want to do anything. You kind of seem like there's no point to anything. Your brain, a switch gets turned in your brain where you're like, I don't care about anything. I don't want anything. Nothing's going to bring me happiness. Nothing matters. You just become almost possessed in a way where you just, there seems like no point to anything, and you seem anxious. And yeah, even getting out of bed. So I would stay in bed for days and days and days, just really anxious, and waking up just super heightened and nervous. Yeah, like I said, you just don't want to do anything at all. I didn't want to eat. I lost around about 12 or 15 kilograms when I went through this depression that lasted around 4 months. So yeah, I lost a ton of weight because I wasn't eating. Just stayed in bed, and God, yeah, it's awful. If you're going through this now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And just doing, like, you almost become like, yeah, just any basic thing that you need to do. Like, I had to go and change my number plates because they were getting faded, and just the idea of doing that was just too much. Like, you rarely have to have all responsibility taken away from you when you're going through a mental breakdown or severe depression, because you kind of become a baby for a while again. And I'm not saying that in like a patronizing way, but you need responsibility taken away because your brain is so vulnerable at that stage that you just need to be looked after. And yeah, because you're very sensitive. So yeah, the brain fog was one of the worst things. The sleep was terrible. Not eating, not wanting to do anything. What I also found very difficult as well is getting support from general practitioners. Like, I went to the GP, and because I wanted answers, I was constantly trying to diagnose myself. What's wrong with me? Like, why am I feeling like this? It was just anxiety and depression. But when you do go through it, it really does seem like there's something physically wrong, which your body's responding to all the stress and anxiety, but it feels like you might have something wrong with your brain. So you're on Googling, why am I feeling this way? You're trying to solve the problem, or at least I was. And a lot of that time that makes the anxiety worse, because you find all different symptoms, and people on Reddit and everything are saying, oh, you need to test these levels, you need to test those levels. So a lot of the time I would find myself at the GP just trying to get out of this. Like, you just want to get out of the feeling of depression, like, and the brain fog. I wanted to know how to get rid of it. And this really made me realize why people do put a stop to it, if you know what I mean, and just end the suffering, because it's so painful to deal with that you just want some respite. You just want to escape it, because it is like, I kept saying to my parents and my partner, like, just get this brain fog away from me, get this feeling away, I can't think properly. You're lying in bed trying to rest and recover, but it's not rest. Like, your mind's constantly, it's constant torture. So a lot of the time I would find myself at a general practitioner's office trying to get blood tests, trying to work out what's going on. And one of the worst times during this whole period was on New Year's Eve during the day. A lot of practices were closed, but I managed to find one practice, and I went there and I said, like, look, I'm in a really bad way. My mental health is so bad. And I just finished university at the time, and I had my mum with me because I was that vulnerable. I needed my mum to drive me to the general practitioners because I couldn't even drive anymore. And he basically didn't take me serious at all. He told me that I just needed a job after uni and I should just do something I find interesting. That I enjoy, sorry. and kind of just shrugged me off, like, and like he didn't know at the time, like I was seriously like having suicidal thoughts and just needed someone to like take me seriously, but he just kind of shrugged me off like I had the problem. And like that scared me a lot, because like a lot of people who haven't been through depression and like a mental breakdown don't understand what it's like. They don't understand how it's like sensitive the situation is, like how just one interaction like that could make someone decide like, that's it, this life is not for me. So I got shrugged off, and luckily I didn't do anything, but it made me really scared about people who do go to general practitioners, and the general practitioners that don't take people seriously, because although I'm sure there's many that do, I think there's a lot that just don't have an idea about how to handle people with mental health issues. And yeah, that was quite a low point in my whole journey. Luckily my family were very supportive, so I didn't do anything. But yeah, that really opened my eyes to how it appears on the surface that everyone's trying to be so mentally health aware now, but a lot of people still have no idea how to handle anyone when they do have severe depression and anxiety. What I learned from this experience, and what I'll get to of how I got out of it, was that feeling this way is mostly a sign that something needs to change in your life. It's not a sign that you are the issue, although sometimes it could be a chemical imbalance in your brain, which for some people it is, but many times severe breakdowns and depression come from external factors, and you going through this shit is a signal that something needs to change. Lots and lots of people just get prescribed medicine, and I'm one of those people who was prescribed medicine, but a lot of the time it's our external factors and your body just saying, fuck, I've had enough. You're having a breakdown because you've gone through so much shit for so long, and now I'm just going to shut down. So when I realized that this breakdown and this depression was a sign that, fuck, something needs to change in your life, it made me feel a bit better, because instead of feeling like, oh, Justin, you're the issue, you're broken, or you're fucked, basically, it's a sign that you have been going through all the stress and anxiety, and that wasn't for you. You ran yourself so down that this breakdown was saying, Justin, you need to chill out, my guy. Like, you need to rest. You need to look after yourself. You're not wrong. It's what you've been doing. You've been putting yourself under severe stress, severe anxiety all the time. You need to chill. And obviously I was taking some antidepressants too, and I have been for a long time, but a lot of the time it's our external environment that's making us have these breakdowns. It's not you. You're not often the problem. It's this fucked up world we live in most of the time that causes us to have these breakdowns. So when I kind of realized this, and I read a lot of research on the efficacy of a lot of antidepressants and how it only is rarely suited for a small amount of people who do have chemical imbalances, it made me realize that I need to rest. I need to look after myself and slowly build back into society. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Stop saying you're the issue and you need to sort your shit out and be stronger. You need to rest. You need to look after yourself and take it slow. Because a lot of the culture we live in right now tells us just to keep grinding. Like, you're being a pussy. Just get over it. But when your body goes through a breakdown like this, you need to look after yourself. You need to try and lean on family and friends for support. You need to slowly build yourself up. Because when you get so low like that, you just want to switch off the lights. You can't go on. You're like in the negative of functioning. You need to get back up to that neutral, like average level where you can function as a normal, like homeostasis, where you can function as a normal human being. When you're in the negative, you need rest. You need to look after yourself. So that's exactly what I did. I let my brain settle down by saying, look, Justin, you need to just relax. It's going to take some time to get better again, to get from the negative to that homeostasis where you can function. Get your sleep right. Start eating again. Slow, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. Because all those things that you Google and it says, how do you be happy, and like, how do you not have mental breakdowns, eat healthy, exercise, sleep. It's all the shit we know to do. But we can easily, when we are really stressed and depressed, put too much pressure on ourselves to do all these things. And that pressure makes it even worse. And all those things do work. Exercise, eating healthy, hanging out with friends. But when you are that depressed, you need to build slowly. Take tiny little steps until you're back to your normal self. If you do feel like you need to just lie in bed the whole day and do nothing for weeks and months, that's what you need to do. First, rest. First, get your sleep right. And gradually build. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because when you're like that, it's just going to get worse. So that's what I did. I started out trying to get my sleep right, and that involved doing a bit of exercise. So even before this happened, I was going to the gym, really focused on gains, and you got to get 100 kg bench press. That was all out the window when this happened. Exercise would just be go for a little 2-minute walk down to the park. Nothing more, because that's how small you need to build back up. Take the pressure off. Small little goals for the day that you can write down. Gradually build up. And if you feel like that was too much, the next day, taper it down again. Be really easy on yourself when you are in that depressed, anxious mode, because you are too vulnerable to put too much pressure and do too much. So that's what I did. Months and months were spent just being easy on myself, relaxing. The thing is, I honestly think you do need family and friends to really lean on. So I was very privileged in the fact that I could live with my parents. I wasn't paying rent. I didn't have to go to a job. Because it's the people who are going through this shit and still have to carry on working. Like, I take my hat off to you, and I feel so sorry for you, because when you get so low like this, you're in critical condition. It's like being in a car crash and all your bones are broken. But it's so much harder because people don't see that when you're like this depressed and anxious. There's no physical injury to say, oh no, he's really in a bad way. People see you just and assume everything's okay. But when you're this low mentally, it's like you've been in a serious car crash and you can't walk. So leaning on family and friends is so important, and taking that responsibility away from you. Really try just to take as much responsibility away from yourself, because I know how long it takes just to ease back into being a normal human being. Yeah, so it was a very, very slow process, taking it day by day, step by step. I also found it very, very helpful to just get books out on mental health, just really try and educate myself on, just to feel less alone, because when you're like this, you feel so alone and isolated, because you see other people functioning fine, going to work. Social media is the worst fucking thing for this. You need to get the fuck out of social media for most of life, even when you are fine. But when you're depressed, social media is 10 times worse than it even is now. And you think, when you're like this, you think, how do people even function? I can't even get out of bed. My brain doesn't work. So yeah, just baby steps, and getting a few books out on mental health and depression, just to keep your mind busy and maybe off overthinking. Trying to get out of your mind so much by doing, reading, a bit of exercise. Getting so much out of your head is also a great help. And what I really tried to do was find people's stories online who went through mental health problems too. So if you are someone who is going through a mental breakdown, or you've got anxiety or severe depression, just really take small steps. Be kind to yourself. Lots of people love you. There's lots of support, and I promise you, it won't last forever. This shitty time won't last forever. My psychologist as well, who I recommend, go and talk to people. Get a psychologist. You will build yourself back. He said, when you're in the poo, all you can smell is shit. And I love this quote because when you are going through a breakdown, you rarely do all you can smell is shit. You feel like this is your life forever. You feel like, I'm fucked. I'm going to be depressed. The brain fog's going to stay. The sleep's going to be shit forever. It's bullshit. You will get out. If you want to get out, you will get out. And I promise you, you'll look back and be stronger, because to get through a mental breakdown, to get through severe depression is a big fucking achievement. And I know you can do it. So everyone's pulling for you. Slow steps. Be easy on yourself. And life is worth living. There is so many fucking amazing things in life to experience. Nature, just for one. I promise you, if you keep pushing yourself, slowly, you will get back to being yourself, and this shit will end. So, I love you, your family loves you, and if professionals like general practitioners do push you away and tell you it's nothing, they haven't fucking experienced. I know what it's like. Lots of people know what it's like. Find a community, talk, express yourself, because that will change. It will take it off your shoulders a bit too. Yeah, I know I've been rambling a little bit, but I hope this video has made you feel a bit more connected and helped you in any way. Yeah. Good luck, guys. Baby steps, and I know you can do it.